Arena! Hey, Chris in the house with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today guys, we're going to do the other half of the tier list that we started with the relics. We are now going to talk about the gemstones. Yeah, the complementary part of the relics, the things that you equip on the relics, and they are extremely impactful to the good advantage that you can bring to your team, to your strategy, and adds so much utility in many areas of the game. So I created my own tier list. It is called the best gemstones tier list, and I made 5 categories which I'm going to classify each gemstones. The first one is the godlike one, the strongest gemstone. This is the top category. The second one is the SS tier, the extremely powerful ones. The third one is the S, the very good one. The fourth is the A tier, usable ones. And the last one is the B tier, not so impactful. There are no bad gemstones, but there are some that are not very impactful, and they will be classified as B tier most of the time. So we are here in the split scenario, half the game, half the tier list, because we are going to classify the 80 gemstones that we have. Yes, we have 80 gemstones in total on the game right now. They are divided in 5 categories. Let me go here to relic crafting, relic index on the top right, gemstone index, and you can see there are 5 categories. The circular gemstones, the triangular gemstones, the square gemstones, the diamond gemstones, and the pentagonal gemstones. Each one of them have 16 in total gemstones, 4 for each kind. 4 rares, 4 epics, 4 legendary, and 4 mythicals. Okay, so we're gonna classify and rank all of them according to how good they are and how impactful they are. Let's start from the bottom. Let's start from the pentagonal ones. Extra velocity. Okay, first rare from the pentagonal ones. It gives the wearers increase speed by 3% whenever you fail to put a debuff on the enemies, maximum 20% per turn. This is a not so impactful gemstone because usually you don't want to fail to place a debuff. So this is an emergency thing when you fail, but it's not something that you're going to usually build your strategy around. Unbroken. The wearer's resistance increased by 3 per each buff on them. Okay, this is something that can be used. So I'm going to put that useful, because every time that you get a buff, you get extra resistance. Okay, so if you have a highly buffed team, that can make you easier to reach the amount of resistance or extra resistance that you want. So it is useful. Fleet foot. The wearer's turn meter increased by 5% faster when they are forced to miss their turn. Another one that is not very impactful, because you are already forced to miss your turn and you don't want to miss your turn. So this is something that you don't want to happen to you. So I'm going to put here on the B tier. So it is something that already something bad happened to you. And in for the kill, the wearers gain 3% turn meter whenever an enemy loses 20%, 25% or more HP. Cannot gain more than 20 turn meter on a turn. This is the last rare from the pentagonal ones, and is a useful one. Okay, it's a useful one. It can make someone on your team get more turn meter when your nuker does his job and take away HP from the enemy, which it is useful. It can be useful on PvE and PvP. Epics, assured security. The wearer's resistance increased by 30 against buff removal and buff steal. Okay, so this epic from the Pentagonal, it is a very good one. It gives you extra resistance against the people that try to remove or steal your buffs, which it is really interesting if you're building a resistance based champion. Survival speed fills the wearer's stun meter by 10% when their HP drops below 50%. This is a very used, very used Pentagonal one on the support champions because it's useful. It's useful, brings him to have a turn faster. So I'm going to put it on very good, but in the bottom part of the very good ones. Maximum. The wearer gains 10% turn meter after taking an extra turn. Most of the time, this is a not very useful one. Does not apply to many champions. Some can take advantage of it. But usually when you have your extra turn, you're already finishing your movements there. You're not going to bring you so fast to another one. So it can be used, but most of the time we don't use. So I'm gonna put it as not very impactful. Growing. The wearer's resistance increase by 5 whenever a debuff is placed on them. Another one that I'm going to classify as B tier. Okay? Because when you're building a resistance champion, you don't want to be very debuffed. So I'm going to classify here on the left side of maximum because you don't want to get debuffed when you're already having a resistance champion, bro. If you're getting debuffed, probably this debuff is unresistible. So nothing that you want to happen. Speedy. Legendary from the Pentagonal gemstones. The wearers receive 5% turn meter each time they resist a debuff. Cannot gain more than 20% turn meter. Now, we see an extremely powerful one. Because if you build a resistance champion, you want him to resist everything. And every time he does what he's built for, he gets extra things. That is turn meter. This is extremely powerful one. Very useful on very high resistance champions. Pentagonal one. Power reset. Whenever the wearer's HP drops below 50%, has 10% of chance of reducing the cooldown of a random active skill by 1 turn. Okay, this is the power reset. The triangular one. Sorry, the pentagonal one. It is a usable one. I'm going to put it here in the middle of the two rares that we had before. Usable. It can help you to survive in an emergency, but not extremely impactful. Skill adapt. The wearer has 10% of chance to prevent their skill being placed on cooldown during an extra turn. Okay? This is a very situational one. Very situational one. But I would say it's a very good gemstone to have. I know the usage of her is very specific. Not many champions have the chance of getting an extra turn and having another turn. But in champions that will get many extra turns, this is crazy. For example, Maria, Rotos, okay? Champions that you have the Chrono Cube or something like that, they are extremely impactful. Mythicals that change forms, they will get the extra turn. So this is a very good relic that can be really well used if you have the strategy done right with the champions that takes extra turn. So this is really good. You get an extra turn with Rotos, you use the skill, and that skill does not go on cooldown. That's amazing. You can use A3, 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 A3 with the Rotos. This is one of the relics that are enabling that to happen. So I would put it one of the best on the very good category, S tier. Nimble Miss. The wearers receive 5% turn meter each time an enemy resists a debuff placed by the wearer. Cannot gain more than 20% turn meter. Okay, another one that works with something that we don't want to happen. Okay, so I'm going to put it here in the middle of the B tier. Because if you're making a debuffer, you don't want your enemies to resist. Even if they resist, that is not something bad. So that is not something good, sorry. So it is something you don't want to happen. I know it's an emergency-like relic, but when you build someone to put a debuff, you don't want to build your strategy around him failing in what he's built for. So I would put it on not very impactful gemstone because you don't want your champion to be in that situation, okay? And the mythical ones. Skill Master, increase the wearer's resistance by 40 when resisting the increased cooldown effects. This is extremely powerful. Okay, because this prevents your champions that have high resistance to red to be debuffed on the skill locked. Okay, so extremely powerful one. Okay, we have it on top tier here. High amount of resistance. Impede them. Increase the wearer's accuracy by 40 when using increased cooldown effects. It's the same version of the Skill Master, but for the other side, I want to put in it. So I'm going to put side by side at extremely powerful one. Okay, when you're building a debuffer, you want him to land what he's going to do. Patient Refuge. When the wearer is forced to miss their turn, the damage received by them is decreased by 30%. It's an interesting one. But usually not crazy. I'm going to put that as usable in the top of the A category. You know, it can make you tankier if you fail to have your turn by any CC. Okay, if you're crowd controlled, this is going to help you survive, but not crazy. Slow the enemy. Increase the wearer's accuracy by 40 when using turn meter reduction effects. It is interesting, but not as much as impactful as it is the landing the skill debuff or the skill removal. Okay, so I'm going to put it as usable, but here not in the top placements of it. And that were all the Pentagonal gemstones. The diamond one, greater. When the wearer is restored destroyed max HP, the restore is 25% more useful. This is not very good one. This is on the bottom of the B tier. This is a mechanic that almost nobody uses to restore max HP, destroy the max HP. So most of the champions that we use that restore the max HP, a red does it. For example, Marichka, fully restore it. So to turn something that's a red 100% more effective is useless. So we don't use that mechanic that much. But it is useful, okay, if you're facing the Sun Devil with a team that survives the Sun Devil hits. Okay, so it's not useless. Like I said, there's no useless gemstones. That's why the lowest tier is the B, is not the very bad F. Something like that. Okay? Unburdened. The wearer's speed increases by 2 for each deadly. Okay, this is between the diamond ones. One of the ones that we use the most. Because we don't have that many options on this category. And we have one of the most used relics that use the diamond gemstones as a slot. So usually we don't have that many options. The relic that I'm talking about, it is none other but the Wand of Submission. The Wand of Submission has 2 circular gemstone slots and 1 diamond slot. So diamond gemstones is something that we use a lot because we use a lot the Wand of Submission. I think is one of the most used relics. That's why this is something that we use frequently. We have a lot, usually compared to the others, and has some good effect when you don't have what to put on the Wand of Submission. The Unburdened. Blessed Heal. When the wearer heals an ally with a skill, the heal is 10% more effective. This is a red gemstone that is extremely powerful. Okay, extremely powerful. But I'm not going to classify it as extremely powerful, to be fair. I'm going to classify it as very good. Okay, the effect is really good. It pumps up the healing that you're able to do. And the champions that take advantage of healing, for example, if it is a very fast champion, you can use the Hallowed Hilt on it. And you have 2 diamond slots on the Hallowed Hilt. And you take advantage of your healing to proc the effect of the Hallowed Hilt. And you're also going to do boosted effect from your healing from the Blessed Heal. Okay, so this is a very good gemstone to have. For example, my 2 Hallowed Hilt champions use 2 of these. And it is a mythical relic using a red gemstone because pumps the effect that I'm using on that champions. Enhanced shot. The wearer's accuracy increases by 3 per each buff on them. This is useful, and between the useful ones has a good placement. Because you buff a lot your team, you're going to get extra accuracy from it. Is good for PvP and PvE. Not extremely powerful, but useful. Let's say you are playing PvE and you have a champion that has 10 buffs on it all the time. You can get it 30 extra accuracy just by that, using that. If you have 2 slots, 60 extra accuracy. That can help you to improve your other stats by not having to put so many points on accuracy. And that's worth for PvP and PvE. Okay? Revival Blessing. Allies revived by the wearers are additional healed by 10%. Okay, this is another one that is extremely used. I'm going to put it as very good here alongside the other one that we just talked about, because when you use the Wand of Submission on your support or the Hallowed Hilt on your support, this is something that you can put on them and is extremely effective, and is going to combo with the effects that you already want to proc from this relic. Okay, energy. Every time the wearer receives healing from a skill, increase the wearer's max HP by 1%. This is a very good effect. Very, very good effect. I'm going to put it here on, not in the top positions, but useful because we don't use it that much. But on champions, even more nukers that are based on max HP and they are long-term fight nukers, for example, Nice, that he can heal himself with an A1 and he's a long-term fighter. This is very, 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 very strong on them. Okay? HP nukers with long battle fights or tanks with long battle fights that are going to suffer heal for any sources. Amazing. Amazing to have energy on it. Starting strength. The wearer's resistance increase by 30 until they take a turn. Resets each round. Okay, this is a very useful one and one of the most powerful ones of the very good ones. S tier, very good to put on resistance-based champions. Okay, until they have the turn, there will be more resistance. Before I'm going to put here. Precision. The wearer's accuracy increased by 13 when removing buffs. Okay, it is some version of what we had with the Pentagonal ones, and it's very good. I'm going to put here in front of the one that we just had, because it is during all battle, not only on the start, okay? So it's more impactful for someone trying to debuff the enemy. Legendary, from the Diamond ones. Expeditious, increase the wearer speed by 5 for each enemy under active stun, freeze, sleep, provoke fear, through fear, sheep, debuff placed by the wearer. This is really good, really good. It can help you a lot to make your crowd control champion cycle faster. Okay, and we have champions that use it a lot. I'm going to put it as very good here on this position. Champions like Fabian that lands stun on many champions and are usually very sorry, Armans, and Fabian that lands the true fear on many champions, and they can use the Wand of Submission, for example. This is a very good option for them because you're going to help your debuffer and your crowd control champion to cycle fast through his turns. Really impactful one. Carved Open. The wearer's default skill will ignore 10% of the target's resistance. It is a usable one. We don't have that much people using it because usually we prefer to use on other things, but it is useful. I'm going to put it here on the bottom of the 8 tier. And Scattering Momentum. Increase the wearer's stun meter by 3% each time they place a debuff on an enemy. Cannot increase the wearer's stun meter by more than 20% in a single turn. This is extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. If you have high debuffers on your team, this is going to make his stun meter pump very much. very much. And for example, the new bomber fusion that we are having right now, Cross, that he puts 8 debuffs in a single time. He already pumps his stun meter. He can pump his stun meter by extra 16% for each gathering momentum that he has. Okay, so I'm going to put here on SS tier, extremely powerful. Gathering momentum is extremely powerful. Okay. Parting gift. Whenever an ally is killed by an enemy, the wearer has 10% of chance to decrease the cooldown of one of the skills. It's a useful one. Useful one from revivers and some perspective. It's really good to have it on revivers because you might return your reviver skill when someone is killed by the enemy team. So useful. Even more if there's a champion that you use Hallowed Hilt or Wand of Submission because they have slots for that. And they are usually support champions. Mythical from the Diamonds. Caught unaware. The wearers gain 25 accuracy for each enemy who has not taken a turn yet. Okay, we have an extremely powerful debuffer for debuffers. Okay, it's going to give you 100 extra accuracy if your team is very fast. Okay, so this is extremely impactful to debuffers. Caught unaware. Mythical from the Diamonds. Heal and Go. The wearer has 5% chance to get an extra turn when healing an ally with an active skill. Okay. We have another extremely powerful one in the top tier of the SS tier. Because when you're doing your healing active skill, you're having the chance of getting an extra turn. This is extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Even to rotate your support or to get something really impactful. For example, you're using a Marichka and you use your A2, then you get, boom, healed someone by a huge amount of HP, restore the HP shield, strengthen, and another turn. She can bring someone with the ally attack of the A1 or boost the turn meter of everybody and cleanse with the A3. This is a great combo and applies to all healers in the game. Arbiter on the A3, Galathier on the A2, and goes on and on and on and on and on. If it is an active skill, that's extremely powerful. Here and Go. I think between the gemstones that we saw until now is the strongest one. It is, by the ranking that we're doing. Revivals, boom! The wearers gain 10% turn meter every time they revive an ally. And right now we have another extremely powerful one. Right on the side of the Heal and Go because it helps you cycle the reviver of your team. Okay, so let's say you revive 3 dead allies, you get 30% turn meter boost. Okay, it's going to help you cycle fast through your abilities, which it is extremely important to revivers. Okay, to always have the revive skill right for the right moment. Okay, so Revivals Boom is another one really impactful. Nuker Defense. The wearer is reducing incoming damage by 10% for each dead ally. Okay, this is a usable one. Can be impactful, can be, but not as many times as we're going to use it. Okay, because something already went wrong. When it's better to, for example, boost your turn meter to have your chance of reviving than trying to resist the damage before you revive. So can be used, but is not as impactful as the other options that we have. Okay, so top tier, top placements on the A tier, usable ones. Okay, and we arrive at the square ones, the category that I'm, in my opinion, the category without as much impact as the others. Okay, we had the Pentagonal and the Diamond that I think are good categories for gemstones. We have the squares that, in my opinion, are not that strong. And we have the triangular and the circular that are extremely powerful compared to the others. Let's see the squares. Sanctified Skin. The wearers receive 10% more healing. It's good, but it's something that we don't use that much. Okay? So I'm going to put that's not so impactful here on the bottom. Some champions can combo with it. For example, if you use champions that deal damage based on healing, or champions that are going to need the heal to survive PvE content, something like that, it can be used to make a combo, but not so impactful in general. Steadfastness. Destroy HP effects are 20% less effective against the wearer. Okay. In my opinion, one of the most not impactful things in the game, it is the steadfastness. Almost nobody uses it. And Belly Shed Shield. Shield buffs placed on the wearer are 10% stronger. Okay. This is a viable option for Titus team or Shield Grower teams. It is not so impactful in general, but for some strategies are useful. Okay. Birded Defense. Any reflect damage effects and buffs on the wearer deals 10% more damage to the enemies. Again, another one that is not very impactful. Only not less impactful than her friend, the Steadfastness. Do you see? We had all the rest from the square, and they are all on the bottom of the B tier. That's why I don't like that category as much as I like the others. Strengthened Sap. When the wearer is attacked and destroyed, the attacker's max HP by 3%, stacks up to 30%. Okay, here we have the first usable one, and it's a good useful one. Okay, I'm going to put it on the bottom of the A tier. Okay, it can be used by tankers to destroy the enemy max HP. That's really impactful? No, it is not really impactful, but makes sense and can be useful on battles. More on PvP than PvE, but it works on both. Strengthen Will. The damage received by the wearer is decreased by 1% for every 10% HP loss. Okay, this is a good one to use on tanks. Okay, I'm going to put here in the middle of the usable ones. Can be used on tanks to make them tankier. Weak Retort. The wearer receives 15% less damage from counterattacks. Okay. Another one that I'm going to put on the B tier. Not something that is extremely impactful. Okay. To reduce damage from counterattacks that are already reduced. Single combat. The wearer receives 5% less damage from single target attacks. Okay. We have a useful one, but not something that we use that much. So I'm going to put here in the bottom of the A tier 2. Now we reached the legendary from this category. Opening Gambit. Increase the wearer's chance of placing debuffs with their default skill by 5%. It's a good effect. Sometimes can be extremely impactful, but most of the time it is not. So I'm going to put as usable, but here on a good placement on the usable ones. Okay, until now, the highest placement we had for our square. Damage mitigation. If the incoming damage will exceed 30% of the wearer's max HP, decrease the damage received by 10%. Okay, we have the first very good one on this category and a very impactful one. I'm going to put it here. It is a very good combo to tanks. If you use, for example, Aspect of Cyroth, let's say you have something like Aspect of Cyroth, you have a square here, it is impactful for you. Vukardic Heart, it is impactful for you. If you're using something like the Shibaya Servitude, this is one of the best used on Shibayas, and you have 2 slots of squares here. So there are some areas or some relics that this is a really good one to have. So S tier, very good. The first good ranked square. Weakening. When attacked with multi-hit skill, decrease the damage the wearer receives from each subsequent hit after the first one by 10%. Another really good one. Okay, another really good one. Something that is useful for the same reasons as we used the damage mitigation one that we just talked about. Another S category right below our sister. Steadfast. The wearers lose 20% max If the wearers lose 20% or more of the max HP from a single attack, the next hit will deal 20% less damage. In the same category as the other two that we just had, we have this trio. This is a trio of the tankiness. Helps a lot on tank champions. The relics that we just mentioned, the Shibayas, the Shibaya Servitude, the Cyroth, okay, they are really good to have that on. Really good. This trio, it is tankiness trio. And the mythical from this category. When attacked, buff the platinum. When attacked, the wearer has 15% to decrease the duration of a random buff on the attacker by 1 turn. It is useful, okay? It is useful, and between the useful ones, it's a good one, very good one between the useful, but not extremely impactful. Let's say like that. Blunt blades. Enemies under a provoke debuff have a 15% chance to land a weak hit on the wearer. Okay. Extremely niche and with a mechanic that is not so useful. So I'm going to put it here. B tier on the bottom placements. B tier for mythical relic. What a waste. God the God. The wearers ignore 50% of the target's resistance when placing provoke debuffs. Bro. Worst relic until now. Oh, sorry, worst gemstone until now. Extremely niche and extremely unimpactful. You want put the best strategy that you have around the champion that you're going to depend from the extra accuracy that you get from a gemstone to land a debuff. You won't. Sorry, but you won't. So, useless. Useless, I think, is the first one that I... Let's not call it useless, but extremely not impactful. Torpidity. Decrease the enemy's speed by 7% if they are under stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, to fear, petrification, or shape debuff placed by the wearer. This is a good one. Good one. Okay, but not top tier between the good ones here on the bottom. So we don't have any square that were classified as extremely powerful or godlike. Okay, the maximum, it was the S tier. That's why between the categories that we had until now, I think this is the one that needs some love from playering. And now we reached the triangular, bro. This is, in my opinion, the strongest of all the gemstones, because they enhance the power of the nukers. And what they enhance are extremely impactful. Extremely impactful. Most of them. So let's go. Let's talk about them. Life Drain. Triangular. The wearer's critical hits destroy 1% of the target's max HP per each buff on the wearer stacks up to 20%. To be fair, this is one of my most used relics because, like I said, almost all the mage dealing relics that we have on the game have triangular slots. Okay? And the mage dealers, since we use them a lot, and we use that relics on them, we run out of what we're gonna use. And this is a really good, really good one, even being a rare, to have on PvP and even more on PvE, because you destroy the max HP of the bosses. So you make easier to kill them if they heal or something like that. So you destroy max HP of your enemies on the live arena and on bosses. This is a easy way of killing the Scarab, or to making bosses like the Sun Devil, the bosses that take long fight, to lose their max HP. Life Drain. Okay? I'm going to put it as very good, and in a placement here. Here, very good. And is a rare triangular. Shield Breaker. The wearers deal 5% more damage to targets under shield buff per each buff on the target. So, brings you more damage on shields, which it is somehow usable. I'm going to put here in the bottom of the A tier. It is not as impactful as the other ones that we saw, but it is good. First defense. The wearers will ignore 3% of the target's defense if the target is under 2 or more debuffs. Okay, so another viable option to do more damage when you run out of top quality ones. I'm going to put as usable one here right in front of the one that we just had about shields. Okay, we use that a lot on PvE. Okay, and when we don't have what to use anymore on PvP, we use it. Unbowed Might. The wearer's critical damage increased by 3% for each debuff they are under. Okay, this is a not so impactful one, but it is really good to use on Titus if you use the GURP Tuck composition, because you're going to stockpile sometimes 9 debuffs on you, sometimes 10 if you have the weekend of the Hydra. So this is going to give you 30% more critical damage per Unbowed Might. So it can use 2, for example, on a Cat's Gaze. Like I said, the triangular spaces are the most impactful ones from relics that do damage. For example, you have 2 on the Stormcaller, you have 1 on the Gorcrescent, okay? You have 2 on the Cat's Gaze, you have 1 on the Covetous Passion, you have 3 on the Dread Bomb, that's why she's the best, okay? All the damaging dealing ones, you have 2 on the Sense Quencher, okay? You have 2 on the Death Dealer, okay? The heavy damage dealer relics always have triangular gemstones, because the triangular gemstones are focused into enhance the performance of your nukers. That's why they are so impactful. I think the best category it is the triangular. Even the rare ones are impactful. So Unbowed is not very impactful to the entire game, but to Titus composition, it is really good. Use it on your Cat's Gaze. Quick Strike. If no enemy has taken a turn yet, the wearer's first attack will deal 10% more damage. Okay, I'm going to put that as not very impactful, but in the top category of the not so impactful, because of the potential these have with a champion called Hegemon. Okay, if you use your Hegemon, this is a must-have, because the damage multiply that gives to you, it's huge. Put 2 of them on your Cat's Gaze if you're using Hegemon, because that's make the entire difference. Quick Strike. Unrelenting, one of the most used ones and one of the best. When using multi-hit skills, each consecutive hit after the first one that the wearers make will do 3% more damage. Okay, very useful. If you have a multi-hit skill, even better. Okay, I will put it as very good here in the middle. Very good in the middle. Unrelenting, really good on Marius, really good on champions that have multiple skills, Maria, okay? Multi-hit, and can be used on PvP and PvE, not, for example, takes a lot of advantage of these on the triple hit, okay? Many champions. As much more hits he have, more this is impactful. Target Smash. The wearer's damage increases by 1% per 10 of accuracy in their total. Okay, it is a usable one, okay? To use, not very useful on PvP, but very useful on PvE scenarios, okay? Sorry, I was putting in the wrong category. Here. PvE scenarios. When you're building your nuker that needs to land debuffs, most likely on Chimera and Hydra. Most on Chimera, that you land debuffs to do trials with your nuker. This is something that boosts your damage, while you already have to have 400 accuracy on them to land the debuffs anyway. So you're going to get 4% more damage out of these, and you can use 2 sometimes, depending on the relic that you use, even 3. So it is 12% more damage in total if you use it. Very, very good one. Okay, but niche, so A tier. Pouncing Strike. When attacking an enemy, increase the wearer's critical rate by 5% for each active debuff on the target placed by the wearer. Not very useful one. Not very useful one. Most of the time, there are only 2 champions that I see using that. Okay, I didn't have this image, so I'm going to put it here. The Pouncing Strike. The Pouncing Strike. There are only 2 champions that I think use that and can be useful, that are Nell and Cavalax, because they use the Arachna Elixir on them. Okay, the Arachna Elixir is a must-have on them. And the Arachna Elixir only has one triangular thing, and the only thing that boosts something for them in the strategy we use it most of the time, it is the Ponson Strike. So it is basically only Cavalax and now that takes advantage of it most of the time. So I'm going to put it as not very impactful here. Okay, the Ponson Strike. Now we reached the legendaries from this category. The first one, the wearer's attacking prowess. The wearer has 80% of chance to reset a skill cooldown if kills an enemy, occurs once per skill. Okay. Very, very good one. Very, very good one. Top tier of the very good one. Okay. If your nukers getting extra tons after doing their skills, this is even more impactful. Even more impactful. Champions like Rotos, Georgid, Maria, that grants a lot of exatons, or champions that get guaranteed exatons, like Ieyasu, Georgid, after killing a champion, bro. This is amazing because you can use multiple times. This is one of my favorite gemstones to have on Rotos, okay? On Rotos, this is magical. You can A3, 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 A3 non-stop by using the effect of attacking prowess. Okay, Rolling Force, one of the strongest in the game. When using multi-hit skills, each consecutive hit after the first one that the wearers makes will ignore 5% of the target's defense. Okay, this is Marius, Maria, Nut, and many other multi-hits screaming their name. SS category, top of the SS category. Okay, Rolling Force. Very, 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 very strong. Very, very, very strong. Use it mostly on your Marius, okay? This is the best thing to use on Marius, I think. And on the relics that we usually use on Marius, like the Cat's Gaze, or the Stormcaller, or the Dread Bomb, you're gonna have the triangular gemstone spaces, okay? So you can use it. Critical strategy. Increase the wearer's critical damage by 10% for each enemy whose HP is lower than 50%. Okay, this is not very impactful most of the time. Okay, so I'm going to put here on the B category on the lowest classification, but can be used on Titus, okay? On Titus, it is really good. Another one that it is really good. Piercing Strike. After killing an enemy, the wearer's next attack will ignore 12% of the target's defense. Champions that has guaranteed turns after killing a champion, or have multiple exaton chances, or combo with that, this is extremely powerful, okay? I'm going to put it here in the middle of the extremely powerful ones. Piercing Strikes. Even more because you have a combo with this relic and the Gawker Ascent, okay? The wearer's next attack after killing an enemy deals 20% more damage, and you have the triangular slot here. So you can make a combo, champions like Georgie D, Asu Rotos, that kills the champion, gets a guaranteed exaton. The next hit is going to be even stronger. A lot stronger. These kind of champions takes a lot of advantage of this combo, okay? Mythical triangular ones. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Be happy if you get any of them, okay? Starting with Sharpened Repulse, the wearers deals 50% more damage when counter-attacking. Extremely powerful, okay? I'm going to put it here. 4th position of the SS tier. There are some champions that can massacre an entire team if you have these or multiple of these. For example, the new champion, the new mythical, Joanne. Bro, if you have a Joanne with 2 Sharpened Repulse, or 3 if you have a Dread Bomb, her A1 will do more damage than everything on her kit. That's how impactful this is as a relic. So you can totally win a battle just using A1s. Champions, even on PvE content, champions like KTMRQADE, or the cat. Oh my gosh, bro. This is unbelievable. Cupidus. Okay. Marius, because of the extra, the counterattack mechanic of the passive all the time. Sharpened Riposte. I'm going to even increase here, second placement. This is extremely impactful. Extremely impactful. Okay. Constant onslaught. The wearers has 80% of chance to gain an extra turn after killing an enemy. Oh gosh, another one that is extremely impactful. Okay, I'm going to put here on the right side of the Sharpened Repose, because getting an extra turn when killing a champion for a nuker, that's winning condition, okay? This is winning condition. If your nuker takes 2 turns in a row, bro, you might win the battle just because of that. So you give 8% of chance of a winning condition in a gemstone that you can have 3 on a relic has a possibility of having 3. Oh my god, 24% of chance. Gosh, this is crazy. This is crazy. That's why the dread bomb is so crazy, and combos with the dread bomb. So, my god, I don't even want to think about someone that got 3 of that and a dread bomb, because his nuker is potentially the strongest in the game. Okay, double down. When attacking targets under stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, petrification, or sheep debuff with their default skill, the wearer has 10% chance to repeat the attack once. One of the strongest mechanics in the game, but hidden under a very heavy, difficult thing to enable it. So it is extremely powerful, but very niche. So it will be the last one on the SS category. But remember that when you play in champions that have A1 control effects, let me say out loud, Tormin, for example, is A1 with freeze. And every time you use your A1, you can double your A1. This is magnificent. Magnificent. If you're having a champion, for example, Marius, okay, and you have the Stormcaller on Marius, but because your A1 is going to give you stun, double down on it, because you're going to do your A1 and double the A1, bro. Unbelievable strong. Extra punishment. The wearers deal 20% more damage against enemies under stun, freeze, sleep, fear to fear, petrification, sheep debuffs. Really good for debuffers. If you're using, for example, double down on a Tormin, and you can have double down and extra punishment, it is really good. But it's just a useful one, okay? It is not as impactful as the other ones that we saw until now. So it is in the middle to the bottom of the A tier. And now we reached the circular ones, the last category. Okay, let's go here with critical booster. The wearer's defense increases by 1% each time they receive a critical hit, stacks up to 10%. Okay, this is not extremely impactful, but between the circular gemstones, since we have many relics with that, I think it's a really viable option to use both on PvP and PvE if you don't have stronger ones to use at the moment. Okay, so critical bolster raises your defense is good. I use it on PvE on many champions, even on nukers, because gradually it's going to raise my defense on long battles, for example, against Chimera or Hydra. Titus can use that, for example, if you don't have better options. Okay, critical bolster. Unerring focus. The wearer's accuracy increased by 3 per each debuff on them. Okay. Something that you don't want to have is to have your debuffer being affected by debuffs. Okay, so emergency in a bad way, so not so impactful. Unstoppable. The turn meter reduction effects from enemies are 10% less effective on the wearer. Okay, not so impactful, but not bad. Not bad. Okay, here on the middle of the B tier. Okay, reduces the turn meter reduction effects. And invigorated. Guys, girls, and chaz up. These circular rare gemstone here, called invigorated, is absolutely the most useful gemstone of the entire game. Yes. Different, isn't it? But between all the options of all the gemstones that we have, most of the time this is going to be the most impactful gemstone of all the game, okay? And the one that's going to be most impactful for you right now, because you're gonna have many exemplars of it and you might not be using it. So we played this game, and this game has speed as a really impactful thing on it. The rotations, the how important speed it is, and speed gives you how the turn meter is going to be placed on your champions. And to have the turn meter increase effect 10% stronger on the wearer, it is over extremely impactful, because these gemstones summarizes into more speed. It's not written here. It's not written here that gives you more speed. But the real effect is to give you actual more speed. Okay? And you can have multiple uses of invigorated. So overall, this is the strongest gemstone in the game, and is a rare one. Invigorated. I know that many players are going to look at their inventory right now, their collections. Okay, they are going to the gemstone slots, and they are going to see many invigorated here. She's the last one to appear on the rares, and you're gonna see 2-3 lines of invigorated. Bro, you're wasting. This is if I could change half of all the gemstones that I have, half of all for invigorated, I would make this change. It could include the legendaries, the mythicals, and the epics. I don't care. I would make this change right now. Turn half of these into invigorated. I will be happy. I don't care if can take away these mythical ones. Take away. They are powerful. Yes, they are powerful. Take away the legendary ones. They are powerful. Yes, they are powerful. Take away everything. Give me half of them as invigorated. I would be extremely happy. Okay? Because this is the most impactful gemstone in the entire game. Why it is so impactful? Because gives you more efficiency when you're boosting your turn meter. And by boosting your turn meter, what that means your champion is going to play, and he's going to play faster than your enemy. This is on the PvE. This is cycling your team speed faster. If you don't have a very specific speed tuned team, that is something that you cannot use invigorated. But if you don't have a very specific tuned team, this is a masterpiece to PvE content that don't need specific speed tuning. This is going to make you cycle faster and faster. Invigorated. On PvP, bro. This is the difference of having, for example, a 500 speed booster and a 300 speed nuker, which is very high. But between the 500 speed booster and the 300 speed nuker, even if you boost with 30% on meter, 25% on meter, that's what most of the speed boosters give, they won't reach the 500 speed that made you play first. Okay? And your enemy might have a 490 speed champion that didn't play. Is going to play in between you. Okay? But if you have invigorated, that might be enough. Okay? That might be enough. And you can use two of them sometimes. Extremely impactful. The most impactful gemstone in the entire game. And it's a rare one. Okay? Have that in your mind. Foe Killer. Epics. The wearers deal 5% more damage against enemies with full HP. Really good on PvE and PvP. Okay? it's very strong, and I'm going to put it here. Here. Very strong for PvE usage. Titus, Tranda, champions that do a boom damage and kill the entire champion, and they will revive or something like that. Good for one-shotting bosses. This is really good too. Impactful one, okay, and can be used on PvP too. Champions that do one-hit KO, okay, when the enemies are full life. As usual on both PvP and PvE. Good one. Target Finder. The wearer's accuracy increased by 5 whenever an enemy resists a debuff placed by the wearer. Okay, this is a very useful one, but between the very useful one, it is in the bottom. Okay, because you don't want your debuffer to depend on it. But if it is the case that you're suffering with the resistance of your enemy because he had another good gemstones on them, probably, that's going to make you maybe have a shot with a long battle. Okay, so I would like to say that it's S tier. Dexterative accuracy. The wearers ignore 5% of the target's resistance when placing bomb, poison, or HP burn. This is a very good one. Very good one. On the bottom of the very good one too. Just in front of the one that we just had. It helps you on the PvE. You don't need the full amount of accuracy to land bombs, poisons, or HP burn, so it is helpful. Champions like Tranda or Ninja that you want to put HP burns, really good. Or other that you want to use, really good. Okay, and to bombers on the PvP, really amazing. To ignore resistance is something that might save your entire battle. Unflinching. Bosses deal 5% less damage to the wearer. Okay, this is a useful one. Okay, and has high value as a useful one. But I would like to say that I don't use it that much. Okay, I don't use it that much. But my account has one level of gear that most of the accounts don't. So if you're struggling with bosses damage, this is what's going to make you survive. Unflinching. Dungeon Delver. The wearers deal 10% more damage into dungeon battles. Remember, it's on dungeons, not on bosses, okay? So, if you're facing dungeons, this is extremely powerful, okay? I'm going to put it here on the bottom of the SS tier, because on dungeons, if you're facing waves, things like that, this is extremely powerful, okay? Event dungeons that you need to clear the friends of the bosses, the minions of the boss. This is the most impactful gemstone in the game at that moment. Explosive power. Bomb debuffs placed by the wearer deals 10% more damage. Not extremely powerful, but only for bomber champions, okay? So I'm going to put it on the bottom of the SS tier, alongside the Dungeon Delver. Only useful for bombers, but 10% more damage. It is extremely impactful. It can make you kill or not kill a champion, and that's winning condition. Uncontrollable. The wearers gain an additional 30 resistance against enemies attempting to place debuffs on them. Crowd control. Stun, freeze, sleep, provoke fear through fear, petrification, or ship. Another extremely powerful one that you want to put on your champions that actually have high resistance. So I'm going to put it here. Here. On the middle of the SS category. Puppet Master. The wearers gain additional 30 accuracy when attempting to place. Is the reversed version of the uncontrollable. Here you put on the champions that you want to resist. Here you put on the champions that you want to land. So it is side by side with the other into utility. SS tier, extremely powerful in the middle of the tier list. As you can see, the circular and the triangular gemstone have a lot on the top tier categories because they are more powerful usually than the others. And the mythical from the circular gemstones. Bloodthirst. Every time the wearer kills an enemy, increase their damage dealt by 10%, and you can stack up to 3 times. It is extremely powerful, but niche. Okay? Niche. So I'm going to put it, Bloodthirst, here. Here. On the bottom of the SS tier, but on Rotos, Georgid, Ieyasu, Maria, All the champions that takes guaranteed exaton or many exaton, bro, nukers with that does a lot more damage. Lot more damage. Undead Bulwark. Every time the wearer is revived, decrease all incoming damage by 10%. Okay. This is something strange because the effect is amazing. Okay, the effect is amazing, but not many champions will take advantage of it. So I'm going to put it here in the very good category, in the middle of it. Okay, if you would have make him, for example, a tankier Maria, a tanky Wukong, that would be phenomenal, but it's not the case. They're nukers. So it is good. I thought it was going to be a PvP gemstone, but most of the times I use it on PvE because I'm facing, for example, the Chimera, and my nuker is dying all the time. The damage of the Chimera, to the damage of the bosses, and I'm reviving it. So it gives, in the end, 30% less damage that my nuker is taking because of that, and that makes him, in the middle of the run, he stops dying because he's 30% more tankier than he was in the beginning of the battle. So the Chimera is getting stronger the longer you do trials, but my nuker is also getting stronger, so he stopped dying in the end, which it is really good, really good. I like Undead Bulwark on my PvE nukers. Bolstered. Ignore defense effects are 12% less effective against the wearer. One of the best, if not the best relic to make a champion survive. Relic, gemstone to make a champion survive on all the contents in the game, okay? If you want a champion to be more effectiveness on tankiness, Bolstered is the best option to it. Okay, champions like Nice, Tankius, Galathier, whatever you want to be tank, Marichka, this is the best relic to make it tankier. Okay, Bolstered, even more impactful than the squares that mitigate damage. Okay, Bolstered, because reducing ignore defense is extremely reducing damage. And Boss Layer, the best option to kill bosses. Okay, I'm going to put it here. Is one of the top categories of the SS tier, extremely powerful, gives you 10% more damage into bosses. And that's extremely impactful if you're using trended titles or whatever you use to face bosses. If you want top performance, these need to be on the relics that gives damage to bosses. What are the relics that gives damage to bosses? Most of the time, you're using that on the RF Koronef, and you have one slot here, 2 slots of the Scroll of the Unseen to use on it, extremely powerful to use. Okay, 1 slot on the Cat's Gaze, extremely powerful to use. Okay, these are damage dealing relics that you usually use on bosses, and these are the best gemstone to use if you're dealing damage to bosses. It was a very long video. I know it took us almost an hour, but we reviewed and ranked all the gemstone. This is the final result. Okay, these that you see here in the top of my head, it is our tier list. Okay, our tier list here with all the gemstones classified, ranked, and explained with examples and practical use. Hope you enjoyed this content. If you enjoyed this kind of content, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. It helps the content creator a lot. And as always, one more thing for you to remember. It's all about arena.